of my early adult life, spending every day doing this stuff at the dog track or, uh, oh my God, Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants. They made me a lot of money. Phil Simms and Troy Aikman. Oh my God, Emmitt Smith. Those were the days, man. It was like printing money.
Yeah. I imagine it was much easier back then because the public didn't have as much information. Now the public seems to be a lot smarter.
Yeah, and the bookie used to meet me every week, and I always won every week. It was always funny to me. They always park at the end of parking lots in the corner, like far away from everything. And I'm thinking that makes them more conspicuous. So I never understood why they do that.
Yeah, usually you just want to blend in and just see normal.
Yeah. But both my guys, they were like always, way off in the corner. So I never understood that.
Yeah. Well, now you can just go to 5dimes.com or betus.com. It's so easy now.
I know, and that maybe takes away part of the thrill. You feel like you're doing something illegal. The cops might be watching. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. Times have changed.
Are we live?
We are now.
Okay, welcome to the WalterFootball.com Fantasy Football Show. This is our Week 20 edition. The AFC and NFC Championship games are coming up this Sunday. So, as usual, DraftKings and other DFS sites have $1 million on the line. So, plenty to talk about this week. Joined once again by Michael Hofer. Michael, how are you? And how's your Week 19?
Had a fantastic Week 19. Too bad I didn't have the investment money that I wish I had. I had to go cheap. And I got some fan mail, actually, on my picking Stefanski, which was the third guy in line on the money line for the Browns. That, to me, was a slam dunk because psycho Josh McDaniels wasn't going to be hired. And anyway, I did get some hate mail that I called Tyler Lockett a gadget player.
Well, welcome to the club. A day doesn't go by when I don't get hate mail, so I take that as a positive that people are reading. So thank you for sending your hate mail. Also joined by Kim Calhoun. Kim, how's your weekend?
Oh, my weekend was so exciting watching all of those games. It was a little disappointing with the Vikings, but there was just so much energy. It seemed like every football player was just giving it their all this weekend. I've just never seen so much energy and intense power on the field. It's like everybody was pulling it out. Patrick Mahomes, like we talked earlier. I mean, it was just great. I enjoyed it.
What a game!
Yeah. Michael, I have to ask you, when it was 21-0 or even 24-0, did you think the Texans were going to win the game? They had
a chance. That's all I thought. I thought, you know what? They got a chance.
For me, as soon as
Brian should be fired. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. As soon as the Texans kicked that field goal to go from 21-0 to 24-0, I thought immediately, I was like, the game's over. Like, they lost. Like, that was such a loser play on their part. And Patrick Mahomes can certainly score 24 points. So.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Mike, I have to give you props as well for two things. One, you mentioned the Kevin Stefanski hire. You nailed it last week. You talked about how that was a good prop bet last week. I was kind of dragging my feet on that. I kind of forgot about it, and I probably should have bet it. And I thought it was down to Stefanski versus Robert Saleh, the defensive coordinator for the 49ers. And I have to ask you, given that Saleh beat up on Stefanski, clearly, like in their matchup, it wasn't even close. And
both of them, because the one guy was 350 and the guy's 500. Bet them both. Cover your bases.
That's true.
Yeah. No way. It's print money.
That's true. So what do you think about the Stefanski hire? Do you think it was a good move, or do you think they should have waited for Saleh to become available?
No, they picked the right guy.
Oh, okay. Why do you like him better than Saleh? I have to wonder, because I like Saleh better.
Jimmy G. Sorry. Quarterback, Cleveland. Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Baker needs help.
That's true, but you don't think Saleh could have just hired a good offensive coordinator, like maybe O'Shea from the guy who was on the Dolphins?
I think they picked the guy who's going to be more vested in Baker, and they're kind of stuck with Baker. unless they want to draft a quarterback again, like the Cleveland Browns have done for like the last since Autogram.
Yeah, we did see Arizona do it. Arizona spent 2 consecutive first rounders on quarterbacks. So I personally would have gone to Saleh. I think he's a better coach. I don't think Stefanski has done anything remarkable in the NFL. This past year, Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs were complaining multiple occasions that they weren't being featured enough. And I thought Stefanski's play calling was very predictable. It's like run, pass most of the time. Only Dalvin Cook really didn't complain during the season. And when Dalvin Cook got injured, Minnesota's offense really tanked. Like it didn't seem like Stefanski had any answers when he didn't have Dalvin Cook available. So I thought that was a very dubious hire. Plus Saleh brings so much energy. Like he reminds me of like a Herm Edwards rah-rah guy, but like he also has a great defensive mind, and I thought that he could be a great leader in the Browns locker room, which is something they haven't had in a while.
Are the Vikings that good? I mean, the thing about Stefanski, he's been there since Brad Childress, who was a raving idiot. He's been loyal, and they've had good teams no matter what. And that guy's been there, and he's always, maybe guys were arguing, but he still held the team together. You think they're going to argue? I like what he said, that he likes personalities. That's one thing. Did he say that in the press conference? That he likes it that there are guys like Odell Beckham. So he might be exactly what they need. A guy who can handle all the whining and still somehow make it work.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm quite dubious that the Browns made a wrong decision, like they always do. It seems like whenever the Browns decide to do something, it's always incorrect. So I'm kind of leaning toward downgrading them for this move. But we'll see. Maybe it'll work out. The Browns have to do something right one of these days, right? So
yeah, I don't think so.
Maybe. The second thing I wanted to compliment you on was your DK lineup, your DraftKings lineup.
I'm only just starting at that because you've turned me into a degenerate gambler again. I spent my early adult years doing that, and this is just way too interesting. And you're very you go into all the details. I'm a very detailed. Well, Kim knows, dude. If I do something, I do it to an insane level, and I see you do that too. And you got me really intrigued that there's a way to figure out the code here. There's a way to win at this. And then that couple that bought 300 cards. They showed that as well. So you got me really intrigued. I feel like I'm close to like I have the best Warbook opening repertoire in chess. I feel like I'm close to solving chess. So next we need to solve this. You and me, we're gonna go make the millions. That's
Let's talk about that. So what happened with the Dynasty King, DraftKings drama? What happened?
I haven't heard any news on that front yet. As Michael mentioned it, that they allegedly bought 300 tickets into the $1 Million Maker. I took some law classes in college, so I know to do that allegedly thing. So that nothing's come of that yet, but I imagine something will soon. I mean, DraftKings said they're going to investigate it, and when there's $1 million on the line and nothing's and there seems to be some sort of, some bad things going on, the FBI might come in. So I think DraftKings, if they don't investigate what's going on, I think the FBI might step in. So we might hear something soon, but we haven't heard anything yet.
Right. Okay.
Right. So speaking of DraftKings, Michael, do you have your lineup at all from last week? I thought it'd be cool to hear it, or do you remember who you had in your lineup? Because you told me that you.
Let me pull it up.
Okay, you told me that you 14 next, whatever you entered. Which had me very intrigued because if you, I guess if you enter the $1 million contest, which is $20.
I didn't 14x it, dude. I only made like 360 if I bet 25.
Oh, I thought it was.
I bought like 6 cards.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, if you can remember what your top lineup was.
Let me pull it up. I wish you had told me ahead of time. I had this thing ready. Okay, where is it? Well,
if you're doing that, we can review the $1 million lineup.
What I did right. Hollywood. You taught me in Hollywood, big time.
Yeah.
And I got it right here. It's now coming up on my. It was supposed to come up on my screen. Let me try to click it again. There we go. Okay. Now, and now you also got me in my keeper league. I'm trying. Oh, Jesus, that's not the one. In my keeper league, I'm trying to remember whether to keep Hollywood or
Tyler Higbee.
Tyler Higbee. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm actually thinking Hollywood was hurt going into the season. He's not going to be hurt next year, and the guy might be a tremendous value. Tyler Higbee is like the guy I showed a couple of weeks, and you wonder if he's going to be able to sustain that. Which one is more of a risk? And I asked you that question on Facebook, and you told me what I wanted to hear. Actually, I think Hollywood may be a great value, and it was a great value last week. My ears picked up when you said that he was the lowest price you'd seen him all year.
Yeah, he was very lowly priced last week. I would definitely keep Brown over Higbee. First of all, the position is more valuable. Receiver is like an elite receiver, or like Brown might become an elite receiver. We don't know yet, but if he reaches his potential, he has more upside than Tyler Higbee. And we saw Higbee dominate at the end of this year, but tight ends can be found at like anywhere. Like you can find good tight ends on the street. Like you can play matchups. I think with tight ends.
Yeah, you're right. That's what I was thinking too. And here's a couple of my lineups that were the big pass. I went with Rodgers in most of the lineups, but I did take a couple with Deshaun. And later I realized Deshaun was the guy to pick last week because ahead of time. There's just no way that he wasn't going to have to get if it was garbage time. So Deshaun was a good choice for me. Aaron Jones, great choice. Adams is a great choice every week. Travis Kelce. We all agreed on that one. That was your last. Oh, you know what? That was your last cruncher where you showed your best Ryan Tannehill lineup.
Yep.
And Kelce was in there. And then you told me, well, if you go with Watson, then you got to pick somebody in his team. So I took Phil's because he was a cheap guy. What kept me from winning $1 million? The San Francisco 49ers. Mostert and Samuel absolutely killed me from making any serious money. But that's a good omen that they're going to also underperform. If you look at the San Francisco guys, they crushed the Vikings, but nobody got big points. And to beat the Packers, somebody's going to have to go off. And Jimmy G doesn't have the playoff experience. We're already talking out here. But Jimmy G, dude, he doesn't have the playoff experience. Aaron Rodgers has tons of playoff experience. I don't think this game's going to be close. But I'm getting way ahead of the game here. But thanks again. That lineup, I'm really mad at the 49ers for costing me. So I got my boys from Green Bay going to make them pay for screwing up my card last week.
Yeah, who could have seen Kendrick Bourne being the top 49ers receiver last week?
Yeah, exactly. And that's Shanahanigans. He's just like his dad. It's like Belichick. You just stay away from those guys. They're dangerous. You never know.
Yeah, you know what's killing me is that on my final crunch before lock on Saturday, I ran a crunch and I had like 12 or 15% Kendrick Bourne, and I'm like, that can't be right. That can't be right at all. So I lowered my projection on Kendrick Bourne, and only had him in like one lineup at the end. I'm kicking myself. I feel like I do that all the time, where I get a high number on a player I'm not expecting, and then I drop him because it doesn't seem right.
Software if you're not going to use it, man.
I know it's stupid. I should trust the software and not my.
Yeah, let's talk about that software.
What do you know about this?
Let's talk about that software. You need to trust it.
Yeah, for sure. So Kendrick Bourne actually didn't make it into the $1 million lineup. I thought we could look at the $1 million lineup to see what the winner did. Winner scored 255.1 points, about 9 points higher than second place team, which is it's remarkable considering second and third was separated by 0.02. Can you imagine that? Like the second place team got 100,000 and third place got 50,000. So difference of 0.02 decided $50,000. It's kind of crazy.
Can I see the thing again there? I want to look at that.
Yeah. So the first. Sorry.
Go ahead and elaborate, please.
Okay, the first place team, they used Lamar Jackson as their quarterback, and it was a double stack. So they went Lamar Jackson with Marquise Brown and Hayden Hurst. So Hayden Hurst wasn't on anyone's radar. As you can see, 1.9% owned. So in a contest with 117,000 people, you have to go with one underrated, under the radar player, at least one. to kind of differentiate yourself, or otherwise you're going to have a lineup that's the same as like so many other people. So this person went with Hayden Hurst. They could have easily gone with Mark Andrews and spent down elsewhere. But Hayden Hurst is a great play because Hayden Hurst has a good chance to catch a touchdown. And that's what he did. He scored a touchdown. He had 4 catches, 53 yards, and he got 15.3 fantasy points. But what I thought was interesting is that this person didn't run it back with a Titan, which is kind of unusual. Usually you want to run it back with another player, and the next lineup I'm going to show you is a good example of that. So this person could have used Derrick Henry, who had a nice game. Instead, they went with 2 cheap running backs. So they went with Tevin Coleman and Damian Williams. I guess Williams is not cheap, but definitely cheaper than Derrick Henry was. And then Tevin Coleman.
Him too. But I didn't trust him.
Yeah, and I thought Tevin Coleman was a great play last week because he was only $3,500. There was no real risk to playing him because all he had to do, he didn't really have to do that much to pay off his price. If he had a great game,
off that price. What do you consider paying off like a $3,000 guy?
Usually for a player to be great, it's 3x the value. So he would have to score 10.5 points. For 2x the value is usually like not bad. So 7 points. So if he gets 40 yards, 2 catches and 10 receiving yards, that would pay off the 3,500.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So generally 3x is amazing. 2x is passable. So Tevin Coleman, you never know with Kyle Shanahan, like you said. There's Shanahanigans, I guess. So he used Tevin Coleman, and then his receivers, Davante Adams, who had a monster game, Tyler Lockett, who had a great game as well. And then his flex, he went double tight end. He went Travis Kelce, and then the 49ers defense. So this person won $1 million with this lineup.
Wow.
Great lineup. Two guys who were 4.3% owned or lower. So that's generally what you want to do. Another lineup I wanted to look at was Peter Gibbons, because Peter Gibbons is, I think, is one of the better players in DFS. He's always cashing, so he's always up there. And this lineup is a Deshaun Watson lineup. So like this is kind of like what you play, Michael, with the
yeah.
Yeah. So his stack was with DeAndre Hopkins and Darren Fells. So Darren Fells became a great play on Saturday when it was announced that Jordan Akins would be out. So Fells would get all the tight end receptions. Yeah. So Fells at 8.1% owned, not very popular. So that was one of his 2 contrarian plays. And then he ran it back with 2 Chiefs. So this is a professional player. He went a triple stack on one side and then double stack on the other. So he ran it back with Damian Williams and Travis Kelce. So double tight end again. So that's kind of, what I think what you want to do. That's what most professional players do is they double stack against a 3-player stack on the other side. So they have 5 players from the same game. And if the game becomes a shootout like Chiefs Texans did, you're going to win a lot of money. And he did it. He won $12,500. Yeah. So his other players, similar to the first lineup, Tevin Coleman, Damian Williams, Davante Adams. One difference here was Stephon Diggs, who he had that long touchdown, but didn't do much else. And then 49ers defense again. So pretty similar, except he went with Diggs instead of Lockett. I wonder what their prices were. Diggs was $5,600 and Lockett was $6,600. Yeah, so he needed to shave $1,000 somewhere, and I guess that's where Hayden Hurst came from. So if he would have went Hayden Hurst instead of Darren Fells and put in Tyler Lockett instead of Stephon Diggs, he would have won the $1 million. So you never know. I mean, hindsight is 20/20, or as Cam Newton once said, 50/50. So you never know. All you can do is learn, I guess.
I like that one.
And being a gadget player isn't a bad thing. It's just he's not a prototype NFL receiver like the big, strong guy they drafted this year, Metcalf. I mean, these short, speedy guys get hurt an awful lot, and to expect him to be the primary receiver at Seattle, I just don't think is realistic. Doesn't mean he's a bad player. He's a great player. But I just think the other guy is, over the years, a more Michael Irvin type of guy.
Yeah, I think in 2 years, I don't think anyone will be questioning that Metcalf's better than Lockett. Like, I really don't think that's going to be the case. And you're definitely right that, when you say he's a gadget player, if you remember when he came into the league, he was a kick returner, and they
Steve Smith. Steve Smith did the same thing. Yeah,
exactly. He was a kick returner, and then he was used on like creative plays on offense, like 3 times a game or something. That's what he was originally. But you have to give him credit, like Steve Smith. He became a great receiver. Well, not great receiver, like a very, very good receiver. So he deserves all the credit in the world, and he's a great fantasy player sometimes. He made it into the $1 million lineup.
Yeah, he sure did.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Congratulations, bravo to you, haters. You won this week. Been a long haul. Walter and I are gonna be right.
Yep, absolutely. Can't wait. So on that note, I don't know if you wanted to make a lineup this week.
Yeah.
So
let's do it. Let's see what we can win this week.
I want to do the spread before we go too, because the spread is outrageous. They're insane. No, they were way off this week. I think. I don't know how that happened. 7.5.
okay, yeah, let's do the spreads for sure. So the first game, Titans at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are favored by 7.5. So who do you like?
Chiefs.
Yeah, I like the Chiefs as well. Do you think it's gonna be remotely close, or like do you think the Chiefs will get there at the end, or do you think it's gonna be a blowout like throughout the whole game?
Well, I think honestly, why do people do that? Why do they say honestly? Have we been lying before? No. I don't know why I threw that in. I think this is the Chiefs' worst nightmare for a matchup. The Titans are exactly the kind of team that they don't want to face because they are a team that can keep Patrick Mahomes off the field. So if there was a team that could screw up Andy Reid and screw up Patrick Mahomes and keep them from getting the Super Bowl, it wasn't Tuami this year. It's these guys because Derrick Henry is a real man. They got an awesome offensive line. And if it's possible to beat the Chiefs, the Titans would be the team to do it because they can kill the clock. All they have to do is eat the clock. That's all they have to do. But nobody can stop the Chiefs except the Green Bay Packers.
I know, but I think the Titans are just on fire. They just seem to have a little extra something going on. Sometimes there's just that energy that's running through them. I just think they got a lot going for them.
Yeah, I mean, it might. I think it seems that way, but if you look at their past 2 games, so they beat the Patriots, but I feel like the Patriots beat themselves. And the Titans only scored on 2 offensive drives in that game. The Patriots made a lot of mistakes. And then last week, the Ravens committed 4 turnovers in meaningful action. All 4 turnovers turned into touchdowns. The Titans didn't score a single point that didn't come off a turnover.
Right.
So it was 2. Thanks. So it was two teams killing themselves, and so the Chiefs could make mistakes as well, kind of like they did.
We just saw it though. We just saw it. If I hadn't seen last week's game, they can make all the mistakes in the world and still win. So it's going to be the Chiefs. I mean, we've seen best case scenario all the way through now, and even if they get best case, Chiefs still win.
Yeah, and the Chiefs are playing the Titans this week, and the Chiefs just beat up on the Texans. And if you recall, back in Week 15, the Texans beat the Titans in Tennessee. So, transitive property says the Chiefs should win by the same amount. I don't believe in that, but that's what it says. All right, the next game, Packers at the 49ers, same spread. It opened 7 up to 7.5. You said it's going to be a blowout, so I assume the underdog. You think the underdog is going to win here?
The Packers are going to win, yeah.
Yeah.
And they got an advantage because they got killed last time.
Yeah, I think that's.
I don't know how hard it is to beat the same team twice or 3 times in the NFL. It's very hard. The Packers have already seen worst case scenario, and they learn. It's like chess. It takes 1,000 losses to become a master. You don't learn anything from winning. And I don't know if the 49ers learned anything from winning that game. The Packers sure learned what they cannot do. For one, they can't go out to California and get drunk and party. Which had a lot to do with their losses to San Diego and San Francisco. But I think they were gifted the prescription of, or at least the diagnosis of what they need to fix. And since then, Devontae Adams has been on fire, and Rodgers has played very well. The team has taken on a new system, and I think the loss is probably a good thing for them. So I expect it to be a total turnaround. And just like the first Super Bowl, it should be Green Bay and Kansas City.
Yeah, I agree. I think the 37-8 drubbing that you're referencing, I think that's beneficial for Green Bay for 2 reasons. First, it might make the 49ers overconfident that they can beat the Packers pretty easily. And second, the Packers, like you said, they're going to have a game plan for the 49ers. So they're going to learn from that loss. And like you said, you don't learn from winning, or you actually learn from losing. So I guess you can learn from winning, but you learn more from losing.
Right.
So yeah, I think that gives the Packers an advantage, and I think there's a chance that Jimmy Garoppolo chokes in this game. He didn't have to.
I forgot to mention the Packers defense has made a huge turnaround. They're on fire, and Jimmy G is a choke artist, I think. So yeah, you and I are totally in agreement on that.
Yeah, he didn't have to do anything against Minnesota. Minnesota just kind of imploded. That's not going to be the case against Green Bay. I think he's going to have to make a lot of big plays, and I don't think he can do it.
You got a choice. Let's see. If we have such a rely on somebody to not screw up and make big plays, can we have more faith in? Jimmy Garoppolo or Aaron Rodgers? I mean, it's not even close. It's not even close. We're talking about one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time compared to a guy who has not even really proven himself yet.
Yeah. Do you know how many times Rodgers has been an underdog of 7 or more in his career?
No, that's a good question. I don't know.
2. He's been an underdog of 7 or more twice in his career before this game, not counting this game.
And he covered both times, right?
Sorry?
Did he cover?
He covered both times. Coincidentally, both games were on the road against NFC West teams. So this is kind of like the same thing. The first time was in the playoffs against Seattle. They were an 8-point dog, and if you remember, it was that onside botched attempt that cost the Packers the victory. But they still covered the spread. They lost by 6.
Why did you have to show me that?
Sorry about that.
Start talking about the Hail Mary. No, I have a heart attack.
The second time
for years because of that.
I can imagine, must have been brutal. The second occurrence was last year in the regular season against the Rams. And that was another special teams gaffe. Ty Montgomery, took the ball out of the end zone and fumbled.
Yeah. And this is the one good move Mike McCarthy made. Yeah. We got rid of him immediately.
Exactly.
That's what I do if I'm a coach. You're not even getting on the bus. You find your own way back home. You're out. You're gone.
Right. So
it's terrible. Yeah, you're right. Good point.
So in those 2 games where he was an underdog of 7 or more, he lost both games, but he covered both times. But he could have won both games if it wasn't for special teams gaffes. So I think there's
points. I'd forgotten all that. Yeah.
So I think there's a good chance that they win this game outright. I love the Packers. This is one of my top picks of the year. I think there's a good chance to win outright. Either way, I mean, I think even if the 49ers get out to a big lead, I think there's a decent chance that the Packers do well at the end where Aaron Rodgers gets a backdoor touchdown. I think that's definitely in play. So either way, I love the Packers to cover.
I do too.
They have a chance to beat the Chiefs.
Do the Packers have a chance to beat the Chiefs? Yeah. I mean, you can't ever count Aaron Rodgers out. I would favor the Chiefs by 3.5 or 4. But I would, you can't say that Rodgers can't beat the Chiefs. That could certainly happen.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. Let's get to our DraftKings lineup. So who are you thinking for quarterback? You said it's going to be tough not to get to Mahomes, and I want to. I'm going to show you my exposures. I crunched 150 lineups. I'm going to show you how many lineups I have with Mahomes out of 150 in a minute. But I assume you want to start with Mahomes.
I don't know, man, because it's you cut him. Do you cut Devontae Adams? I mean, can you really cut Derrick Henry when you know their only chance is to go with Derrick Henry? I mean, this is the most challenging week of the year. Well, probably only to be close by next week, I guess, or the Super Bowl. How do they do that?
Well, for the Super Bowl, they have the showdown matchup. So you pick 6 players and one's your captain. Your captain costs 1.5 times as much, and he scores 1.5 times more.
Okay, yeah, because this is hard.
Yeah, the 2 games, you're going to have to make some sketchy plays here. So, for example, Kyle Juszczyk showed up in 4% of my lineups. So you never know. He may not do anything, but he could score a touchdown, and that could win the tournament. So,
what's your opinion of quarterback?
I would go with Mahomes. I think he's the best option. Obviously you want to be contrarian, but I think we can be contrarian elsewhere.
Right, exactly. You can't be contrarian against reality.
That's true. So I feel like most people who play Mahomes are going to stack him with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. I would say that only going to one is correct.
Yes, exactly. That's obvious. That's a math. That's just a math problem. That's obvious. You can't take both.
Yeah. So which one do you like better?
Kelsey.
I agree. Let's go with Kelsey. Okay, and do you want another Chief like Damian Williams, Sammy Watkins? Roll the dice.
I don't know. I was toying with Williams and Watkins. Watkins, man, what a plummet since he's been drafted.
Yeah, remember that week 1 he had where he just blew up? Let's see his stat line: nine catches, 198 yards, 3 touchdowns. Everyone picked him up if he wasn't available, and he hasn't. I don't think he's hit he hasn't hit 14 fantasy points since.
Rex Ryan threw to him every play, no matter what.
Yeah,
like the whole team depended on him, and out of here they just once in a while we use this guy. And yet, how much did they pay this guy? He's like the highest paid receiver on the team. It's crazy.
Is he really? Wow.
Yeah. It's unbelievable that he just hasn't produced very much since that week 1 game.
Yeah, same with the Rams too.
Yeah, and so if people aren't going to own him, then I'm down to play Watkins. We can look at ownership in a second, but actually let's do it now. So let's go to receiver. So this is going to change. Obviously, it's only Wednesday. They'll accumulate more.
AJ Brown in the lineup because I think he's going to do well. But again, I looked at these prices and they got him priced too damn high.
Yeah, and yet he's projected for 47.6% ownership.
Wow.
AJ Brown. He's projected to be the second highest owned receiver behind Tyreek Hill. Then Deebo Samuel, Tajay Sharp, who that might plummet because Adam Humphries returned to practice.
Has he?
He returned to practice today. Yeah. Yeah. So that could definitely be a factor.
Player.
Yeah. So Sammy Watkins is projected for 32% ownership. This was shocking to me. Devontae Adams for only 21.8%. I thought that was unbelievable. Maybe that's an error. Maybe that gets fixed. But it could be possible that people are just scared off by the matchup. And if so, I'm willing to go double the field on Adams.
Yeah. We'll go with Adams 6 days a week and twice on Sunday. Yeah, definitely Adams.
Let's just put Adams in. So do you have an opinion on if you'd rather have Damian Williams or Sammy Watkins?
No, I don't have an opinion there. It's impossible to trust either one of them.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go with Williams for now.
Okay.
So if we run it.
Is there somebody else you could go with? I mean, you don't trust either one of them. Would there be somebody else?
Well,
it's a long shot.
You're trying to get Chiefs, Kim.
Yeah, there are
cheap Chiefs.
There are far less trustworthy Chiefs that you can try, like Mecole Hardman, 3,800. He had 4 targets last week, so one of those could go for a touchdown for sure. Sorry,
the special teams count. Do you get points? Okay, well then, then Robinson's the guy to go with.
And then Demarcus Robinson, who dropped 2 passes last week, 4 targets, only 1 catch for 4 yards. I can't imagine too many people playing him. So he's only 30. He's only 3,300. We can put him in as well. So we have this stack: Mahomes with Kelsey and Robinson. So obviously we want to play. Yeah, obviously I do too. Obviously we want to play at least one Titan, maybe 2. So
who we have to play, and you know it.
Derrick Henry or AJ Brown.
Yeah, you have to. How many weeks do we have to see the guy go off before we realize he's just a mandatory play every week? Yeah.
Okay, so we have Henry here. Any thoughts on the other running back?
If you keep asking me questions, you know who I'm going to choose. So why don't you pick the
Okay.
guy?
I think that where is he? Raheem Mostert is worth a shot here because I think people are not going to play him at all after seeing him taking a back seat to Tevin Coleman. He's only 4,300
compared to Aaron Jones.
Well, okay, Mostert's 4,300. Aaron Jones is 6,700.
Oh, that's something close. Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe Jones for the flex if we can get the money there.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so we put Mostert there. Another receiver. So we can't get Jones. Well, actually, we probably can't get Jones now. We only have 3,600 left per player. Anyone else stand out? Maybe Adam Humphries.
Yeah, I like that because I didn't know that, and I might be able to produce there because he met with Caden and they brought him to during Hard Knocks to Buccaneers practice, and that was Caden's favorite guy.
Oh, awesome! That's really cool.
Nice guy.
Really cool to hear NFL players do nice things. You always hear the negative, but never the positive. So that's
yeah.
So we got 3 with Q's on them. Is that a concern?
Not with Kelsey. You know, Humphries, you want to monitor his status. Like he returned to practice, maybe he doesn't play. That's certainly a possibility. So usually, I think a Q is a good thing because that means fewer people are going to play him. And so that could give you some nice leverage. So it's just something you have to monitor. You check back an hour before the game starts to see if the guy's playing. And if he's not playing, you just sub him out and just put someone else in. Okay. Any thoughts on the defense here? I have to admit I'm terrible at picking defenses in DFS.
It's easy. It's Packers. We're right about the Packers. It's easy. Because the Titans are not going to stop the Chiefs.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so we have 5,600 left over, and Deebo Samuel is the top guy we can get. We can also get AJ Brown. We could also take someone out and try to get Aaron Jones. So what do you think our move should be?
Dude, I'm down with whatever you think about that. I totally agree that we want to get maybe try to get Aaron in, and we did initially put these guys in here because we were just trying to see what was viable. And now, unless we go to Tyler Irvin, we're ready.
So if we put Aaron Jones in, we need to shave $1,100.
Okay.
So
I don't like. I don't know, dude. There's no way to fix this, is there? Because I don't like going with the guy that burned me last week. But you might be right about Mostert. Maybe did I screw things up by putting Derrick Henry in there? Is he just too expensive?
Yeah, it might be. Here's one thing you may not like this. Take out Mostert, put in Juszczyk.
Ooh, dude, it's the same to me. In fact, that's brilliant. Okay, that's what the guys won last week. And if you got to have a random player, why not go with Shanahanigans? Yeah, I like that. I like that. He could splash for 6.
Yeah, definitely. So he didn't do anything last week, but to close out the season, he had 5.9, 3.3, 8.7, 5.2.
I love this.
If he gets us 5.5 points, that's great. That's almost 2x. So
you're a genius, Wally.
Thank you. Okay, so yeah, I'm good to submit this. So to recap, Mahomes, Derrick Henry, Kyle Juszczyk, Devontae Adams, Demarcus Robinson, Adam Humphries, Travis Kelce, Aaron Jones, and the Packers defense.
And we only have to pay $1. And how much did we have remaining? We had $100 left, so we did pretty good.
Yep. And
I love this. I think this is the best work you've ever done, Walter.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, hopefully this is the $1 million lineup. That'd be great.
So what are we trying to win here?
Well, in this is the $1 contest. I'll probably enter this in the million, which is a $25 fee. But the $1, if you sort by entries, you can get to this because there are 237,000 entries in this. So it's $1, but grand prize wins $10,000.
Wow!
So it's pretty cool contest here. I also like the $3 one, which is $3 entry and top prize is $100,000.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, there are 396,000 people who are going to be playing this. So chances are you're not going to win, but you're not risking much either. So and I should also note
me right now.
What?
I play with house money right now.
Exactly. I should note that there's also a free contest. It's zero, obviously $0. Top prize is only $100, so nothing to get excited about. But it's a free contest. So if you're starting out, you can enter this contest and not risk anything at all.
There's the KFC is the same thing. So
Right.
the KFC does Sunday night, and then there's WalterFootball.com. Right? Let's don't forget that. Look,
Yeah,
come on, guys. Get
we
your
don't.
practice game on, right?
Yeah, well, we don't run the contest during the playoffs.
Okay.
We probably should. I should talk to my developer about that. But during the regular season, you can play on our site for free, and grand prize is $350. And there aren't. I can tell you for sure there aren't going to be 21,000 people in the contest. There will be about 500, 600. So a lot easier to win. All right, so let's get to the rankings. Well, first I wanted to show you my exposures when I crunched this. So I got to 82% Patrick Mahomes out of 150 lineups.
Wow.
8% Aaron Rodgers, 7% Ryan Tannehill, 3% Jimmy Garoppolo. So that's kind of how it panned out.
Yeah.
Running back, Derrick Henry, 59%, Damian Williams, 58%, Aaron Jones, 51%. I mentioned Kyle Juszczyk, 4% down here. Dion Lewis is another under the radar guy you can get to, 5%. Even Jamal Williams at 15%. People aren't going to own him. Matt Breida, another one, 11%. It's like you have to differentiate, and like these guys, one of these, I guarantee one of these guys will do very well. I just don't know which one, but one of them will do very well.
Yeah.
Wide receiver, I have A.J. Brown at 76% in my lineups. Tyreek Hill, 53%. I want to drop Hill and move up Devontae Adams. I think that's too low. The Tajay Sharp news, I did this before I saw the Humphreys news. So that's why he's 37%. Couple underrated guys. Our guy, DeMarcus Robinson, I've been 21% of lineups. Mecole Hardman, 11%. Kendrick Bourne, 5%. And then go to tight ends. There are only 4 tight ends who are viable: Kittle, Kelsey, Jonnu, and Jimmy Graham. And defenses, I had Chiefs, Packers, Titans, and 49ers kind of evenly, I guess. I probably should move up the Packers. So those are my exposures. But we can get to my rankings. So sort by projection. So there are only 4 quarterbacks this week. Patrick Mahomes, by far the number one guy. Then we have Aaron Rodgers, Ryan Tannehill, and Jimmy Garoppolo. Is that how you would order them, Michael?
No, actually, I think we should change our card and go Nick Mullins. I like Nick Mullins.
Well, I can tell you for sure that no one will own Nick Mullins.
Yeah, you hit it right in the head. But wouldn't that be something that Garoppolo is so bad they put Mullins in and he ends up beating the Packers? That'd be
I mean, he could get hurt. Like maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe he comes in, gets injured, and then Mullins has a great game. I think that happened once where a backup came in and had a great game. It was, I know for sure. When was that?
Against the Houston Oilers in the playoffs.
When DFS was around, there was it was week 3 of last year. Remember Tyrod Taylor was starting for the Browns. And then he was benched.
With Baker, yeah.
Yeah, he was benched ahead of time. And someone won the contest who had Baker Mayfield in their lineup.
It was a Thursday night, right?
Yeah, it was a Thursday night game. So
Yeah.
So like I think like 1 or 2 people had Baker Mayfield out of 110,000. So so you're going to lose money most of the time, like 99.99999% of the time you do that. But, it can work out, I guess. All right. Let's get to the running backs. Derrick Henry, number 1, Damian Williams, and Aaron Jones tied for number 2. Then Tevin Coleman.
Seriously?
You like Aaron Jones? You like Aaron Jones better. I just think Williams has potential to score. Like I think the Chiefs-Titans game is going to be a lot higher scoring than the other one, and I think there's a better chance that Williams catches passes and gets into the end zone. But like
my experience with him, I had him as a keeper last year because I felt so smart after they got rid of their running back and where's Andy Reid going to go? And it's Damian Williams. A lot of guys went and picked like Spencer Ware, stupid stuff. Yeah. And I was really high on Damian Williams. I thought this is going to be my killer this year. And then after like a few weeks, I actually cut him from my team. Maybe that was dumb, but I've been like, I've just had nightmares with the guy, and I still wonder if I was right or wrong in the first place to believe in him. But it's hard for me to trust an Andy Reid running back. That goes all the way back to Shady, man. Sometimes he forgets he even has running backs.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, you're definitely right. Damien Williams certainly has a low floor. I think he has a lower floor than Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
I think if that game turns into, if the Chiefs score 40-something points, then I think that Damien Williams will certainly be a large part of that scoring.
Yeah, and he's electric as a receiver when Holmes is, gets stuck in it. Oh, there you go, bang. Yeah, I can see that, but I just can't.
I do think you're right. I think Aaron Jones should maybe be a little bit higher. So I think it's close though. And then Tevin Coleman, number 4, Raheem Mostert, number 5. I don't think there's that much of a difference between these guys. Jamal Williams, number 6, Matt Breida, 7, Deion Lewis, Kyle Juszczyk rounding out the relevant running backs. So we don't even have 10. Darwin Thompson's number 10, I guess. Besides Williams and Jones, any thoughts on this?
No, the 49ers backfield has been incomprehensible. There's a committee.
It's pretty rough. But it is rough, but it does open up opportunities in DFS, because if you can nail the right guy, it's hard to nail the right guy, but if you can do it, you have, like we saw in the $1 Million Maker, like the $1 Million guy got it right with Coleman. So actually looking at ownership, it says Mostert's projected for 46.2 and Coleman only for 6.5. So I'm thinking that, maybe Coleman is the right guy to go to this week. That's interesting. And Aaron Jones, by the way, only 23% owned. Compared to Damien Jerry McKinnon. Yeah, that's that'd be one to play.
He's gonna be the lead guy this year. Yeah. I did.
I did too.
Next year, does he have a chance to even make the team next year?
I don't think so. They paid him so much money. They can't keep paying him. So we have Damien. This is interesting. Before we move on to receivers, Damien Williams projected for 75.4% ownership compared to Aaron Jones' 23. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
That's insane. I would look at my exposures again. I had them about even. So I think that's kind of where you want to be. I wouldn't own one guy way over the other. All right, receiver. I have a two-way tie at the top with Tyreek Hill and Davante Adams. What do you think about this? Who would you like? Who do you like better? This is difficult for me because Adams has the tougher matchup, but he's going to get all the targets.
Yeah, exactly. He's an iron pipe lock cinch. Absolutely, Aaron's going to throw it to him, and it's going to be completions. He's going to deviate a little bit. He's going to get in it. That switch he made, that pivot to the other side of the field, where he just ran away from everybody. I mean, the guy's magnificent. Tyreek Hill, bad character off the field. On the field, they seem to be covering him more. When's the last time he had a big game?
That's a good question. Let's look.
You know what? There's so many weapons. Aaron Rodgers does not have so many weapons. Everybody else he's got on the team is friggin' undrafted guys.
Yeah, so he's had 20 or more fantasy.
Jimmy Graham.
He's only had 15 or more fantasy points 3 times since week 8. Now there's no questioning that he has amazing upside. Like he could catch 8 passes for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like that's the sort of upside you get with Tyreek Hill. But if he's almost 50% owned compared to 21% Davante Adams, I don't think there's any question that you want more Davante Adams than Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Number 3, AJ Brown. Number 4, Deebo Samuel, right next to Emmanuel Sanders. Number 5. As you can see, these guys are very close together. So I have Deebo Samuel 10 points, Emmanuel Sanders 9 points, Sammy Watkins 9 points, Corey Davis, Alan Lazard 8 points each. Sharp. This is before the news. I didn't adjust my rankings yet for Humphreys. 6 points. Kendrick Bourne 6 points. We have DeMarcus Robinson at 5. Mecole Hardman at 4. Geronimo Allison and Jake Kumerow at 2. And then we get the Marquise Valdes-Scantlings of the world. Any adjustments? Any adjustments you make here?
Yeah, well, Adams needs to be ahead of Hill. We already talked about that. I'm just wondering when Kumerow or Allison's going to finally have a big game. I mean, going into the season, I'm friends with Jason Wilde, the ESPN guy, the
Okay.
reporter, and he was telling me Kumaro was going to be the breakout player this year. And he had some good games, but Kumaro is definitely a good long shot. Kendrick Bourne already had his day in the sun. Marcus Robinson, the guy for 1 week looked great. Remember how they picked him up off the waiver wire? Like easy.
Yeah, that's I mean, any of those Chiefs guys can go off, like any of them.
But you're right. It needs to go up is Adam Humphries.
Yeah, that's definitely something I'm going to do in the next couple of days. So yeah, you can go to walterfootball.com. I'm going to have updated fantasy rankings throughout the week, and I'm going to adjust for Humphries news. All right, let's get to tight ends. Obviously, only 4 viable tight ends this week, unless you want to roster Robert Tonyan or Anthony Firkser, which I would not want to do. George Kittle and Travis Kelce tied at number 1. I could not decide which one I like better.
I think George Kittle is the best tight end in the NFL. I love his vibrance, the excitement he brings to the team. He plays hurt. He's a real football player. Not that Travis Kelce isn't. But I think George Kittle has actually passed Kelce. But the Green Bay's not that bad against tight ends. Kittle was kind of silent recently. And Kelce, Tennessee ain't that good against tight ends, right?
No, they're 29. They're 29th against tight ends, so it's a great matchup for Kelce.
Yeah.
However, Kelce's 1,300 more than Kittle, so that's the price you have to pay for.
Okay.
So it's very difficult. I couldn't really decide. So look at my tight end exposures.
Who's got the better quarterback? Warren Sapp. I of all people, I don't know why that just entered my head. But when you're trying to pick your wide receivers in fantasy football, Warren Sapp said you always got to look at their quarterback. So if you're in a tie with the guys, who's got the better quarterback? It's not even close.
Oh yeah, definitely not even close. And I think I certainly think the Chiefs are going to have more points than the 49ers this week. So that just means more scoring opportunities for Kelce. Again, the problem is you have to pay $7,100 instead of $5,800. So I can understand why they're evenly owned. Look, the 61% owned for Kittle, 60% for Kelce. So the public can't.
It's not like your normal weekly fantasy rankings. These are based on price.
Well, no. Well, my rankings they're tied at 20 right now.
Okay.
Those are my rankings. These are the exposures I have. 51% Kittle, 34% Kelce. That's just based on this. This is based on price.
Okay.
So for that to change, Kelce would have to be ranked higher than Kittle, which I could do. I have to decide, and I might change that actually. I might move Kelce to like 21 points or 22 points. So kind of manipulating there, but I do think Kelce is the better play this week. Jonnu Smith 8 points, and then Jimmy Graham 5 points. Any interest there for those two guys?
More for Jonnu Smith than Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham has been a major disappointment since he's been a Packer. I mean, he's in his golden years now. Every so often he has a decent play, and Aaron still trusts him. Aaron still tosses it up there where only Jimmy can reach it. But, I had a lot of expectations for him, and he hasn't fulfilled any of them.
Yeah, I think the Packers need a new tight end. We'll see if Jace Sternberger ends up being
that guy was supposed to be good. He hasn't done anything.
Yeah, he was hurt for most of the year, so I think that kind of set him back. So he's going to have another offseason to kind of make up for that. Yeah, Jimmy Graham has done nothing. He the last time he had 10 fantasy points was week 7 against the Raiders.
Wow.
The guy I have to give props to, though, is Mercedes Lewis.
Yeah, Mercedes Lewis. There's another guy.
He's been fantastic as a blocker. He's like maybe the best blocker for a goal line, red zone. If you got to punch it in, he is a guy that really makes a difference. I was wondering why they had him, and I saw that block he made last week, and it's like, oh, that's why he's on the team.
Oh,
yeah.
He's a stellar blocker. He used to be a great receiving tight end too for the Jaguars a long time ago. You talk about golden years. This guy's way up there too. But yeah, it's cool that he can still block very well. It's kind of like Jason Witten, who's not a good receiver anymore. He's okay, but he's still a tremendous blocker, and that brings a lot of value to the team.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not to DFS. So
right. He's a
looking
good
to-
locker room guy too.
Yeah, yes, for sure. If you're looking to roster Mercedes Lewis in DFS, obviously you need him to score a touchdown because he's not going to get more than one or two catches. And he could definitely get a touchdown. The last time he did that was week 13. So it can happen. But even if
That's what I'm trying to say. I understand more why he's on a team than I understand why they're still riding with Jimmy Graham. So Jimmy Graham is just a no to me.
I agree. I would prefer them to get to Robert Tonyan, like give him more of a chance.
I didn't know anything about him really. So maybe you're right. Yeah, because they're holding up the team's progress. Because Jimmy Graham is just, I don't get it.
I know that Tonyan he's a good athletic. He's very athletic.
And I want to know something. He was awesome with Drew Brees, and he was at Seattle. I expected him to be good at Seattle. So since he was so awesome with Drew Brees, I thought other tight ends would be great with Drew Brees, but they haven't been. What's up with that?
Yeah, Jared Cook had some nice games, I guess, but like they haven't really had an elite talent at tight end. Like they've been going with like Josh Hill, like these guys are scrubs. And what's Kobe Fleener?
Fleener sucks.
Yeah, he's not a good player. So yeah, they haven't had a very good tight end in a long time. So I think that might explain it. We'll see.
Maybe that's it. They just haven't gotten anybody to replace him. Yeah.
All right. That's anything else you want to touch on before we sign out?
Just how much fun it is to work with both of you guys. How much I appreciate this, and how exciting it is to get fan mail, even when it's hate mail.
Like I said, I respond to everything. I respond to hate mail and fan mail. It's all great.
So let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, what kind of hate mail do you get? I mean, is it just blasting you for picking somebody that's against their pick? Is it blasting you for the advice you gave? Share a story.
Lost money or lost their game. Of course, they're going to take out their venom on you.
Yeah, so it's usually when I make a wrong pick, people will be like, "You're an idiot. You don't know anything. You should find another job." Stuff like that. I remember the most hate mail I ever got for something was when I worked for the Center Daily Times, which is a newspaper in the Central PA. I used to have my own column there, and in the 2005, 2006 playoffs, I think it was the. I can't remember what year it was, but it was the year that the Steelers, 2005, the year the Steelers beat the Colts in the second round of the playoffs. That was the Jerome Bettis year. And I wrote a column saying that the Steelers had no chance to beat the Colts in the second round. And I got there. I was what, 23 back then. So I didn't know any better. So I wrote that column and people got very angry. I remember getting a hate mail every like 15 minutes. From Steeler fans. It was brutal, and I was young back then, so I didn't have the thick skin I do now. Now
you realize Ben was going to make that tackle.
Right, exactly. I guess it was kind of foolish to say that they had no chance. Like it was a dumb column on my part.
Tackle chance. That was it.
Yeah. You change a lot as you get older. You know, I don't think you're as bold, but you do change a lot.
Yeah.
Somebody texted me the other day, getting old is not for sissies, but you become bolder in some aspects, but you do get a tougher skin. And, but you probably write that, like you said, article different now. So, yeah. But you know what? You got a lot of attention, and they always say, that contention builds, and you build your fan base that way. So, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a learning experience. So go ahead, Michael.
After you're done, I've got one last thing to say.
Okay, no, it's a learning experience, and I think at the time I was upset about it, but I learned from my mistakes, and now I don't care. I actually love hate mail because I love responding to it, and I love posting it on the website. I post every single hate mail that I get, including my answers to it. Something I like to do is sometimes. If someone's saying something very stupid, I tend to ignore them and say and respond like, "Hey, thanks for loving the site. I really appreciate it." And kind of like trolling them that way that I don't even read their reply or what they said. So,
return it back with love. I love it. That's awesome. I got a question for you guys, though. There's a lot of hubbub out there about Tom leaving the Patriots now. Is that?
They cleaned out his tweet at Gillette, so he's gone. Well, Walter says that he's using it as a money play.
I think it's possible. I like he could be gone for sure. Yeah, you could be right, but I think there's a chance that he's using it as leverage.
Okay, here's the deal: they just moved 160 miles away to Greenwich, which is closer to New York. It's closer to you. They're like your next door neighbors almost, because you live in a very expensive community, right? Now,
no, not so much.
could be Giselle is finally getting her way. Tommy, it's time to quit. He may not go anywhere next year. This may be the end.
Maybe he'll just enjoy family time and not worry about a ball game for a year of his life. Because he's some very painful injuries. And he's been working very hard to get past that. Sometimes it's time to call it quits and move on. So
it could be. It really could be.
Yeah, I still think he has a year.
There's a little the commercial he just did for what is it? Something Under Armour?
Yeah.
The last word in the commercial was the only way is through. And Tom likes dropping little hints in the last word, and it's in red, through.
Yeah.
Maybe he's through.
Maybe. Or maybe he's just messing with us.
I think it will be a definite. It will be a definite change for the Patriots.
This is all we're going to be talking about for the next 6 months. It's going to get to where we can't stand talking about it anymore.
I know, but I just think
like the Brett Favre stuff all over again.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, that got old. That got old really fast.
Decision I ever had to make. I am back.
Well, Walter, you want to sign us off, and maybe we can chat a minute after this for our huddle.
Well, Michael, did you want to say one last thing?
Yes, thank you. Go Pack, go.
Hey, that's not fair.
Well, I'm right there with you, Michael. Like I said, it's one of my top plays of the year. So yeah, go Pack, go. Absolutely.
Go Pack, go.
Yeah, unanimous. All right.
Walter will buy us dinner. All right.
That's sure. Yeah, so you can go to waltzerfootball.com for updated fantasy football rankings. We have NFL picks against the spread. 2020 NFL mock draft is updated today. I actually posted a 2021 NFL mock draft and a 2022 NFL mock draft as well. So you can check that out if you'd like. Otherwise, we could talk to you next week and let us know who you play in DFS this week. If you have some underrated player that we haven't touched on this week, let us know. I'm interested in that. And good luck to everyone playing on DFS this week.
All right.
Love you guys. Thanks.
Take care.
Well done. Very